They told you that strength means showing up. Every time, for everyone. No matter what it costs you, so you did. You answered the midnight calls. You held people up while your own knees were shaking. You poured from an empty cup again and again, because that's what strong people do, right? Wrong. You were taught that sacrifice is noble, but what if it's just self-destruction in disguise? What if your strength was never about how much you could carry, but how willing you are to finally put it down? Let's talk about the performance that's costing you your life. We live in a world that glorifies the martyr, the one who never complains, the one who works late, stays quiet, keeps giving, the one who says, "I'm fine," while they're silently crumbling. You've been praised for being selfless, but selfless isn't a compliment when it means there's no self left. Carl Jung understood this deeply. He spoke of the danger in confusing persona with purpose. That social mask you wear, the helpful one, the available one, the strong one, isn't you. It's a survival strategy, a role, and over time, you start believing it's your identity. But here's the truth. The more you live for others, the more invisible you become to yourself. And the more invisible you are to yourself, the easier it becomes for others to use you, without even realizing they're doing it. Who's winning when you're constantly losing energy? Ask yourself, who profits from you being endlessly available? Is it the friend who only calls when their life's on fire? The partner who says they love your support, but disappears when you need help? The job that praises your dedication and gives you burnout in return? People get used to the version of you that's convenient for them. And when that version begins to crumble, they panic. Not out of love, but out of loss of utility. They didn't love you. They loved what you provided. They loved the emotional labor. They loved the free therapy. They loved the sense of control your constant presence gave them. And that's the gut punch truth most people never want to face. Maybe the real betrayal wasn't what they did, but what you believed. But what if the way you define love has always been flawed? Jung taught that unconscious behaviors, especially ones we repeat in relationships, are often projections of unmet needs. So why do you keep showing up for people who wouldn't cross the street for you? Why do you feel guilty for saying no, for setting boundaries, for choosing rest? Because somewhere deep inside, your worth got tied to your usefulness. You began believing that being needed was the same as being loved, but they're not. Being needed is transactional. Being loved is transformational. And when you confuse the two, you sacrifice yourself in hopes of finally being seen. But sacrifice doesn't earn love. It earns expectation, and the more you give, the more people believe they're entitled to it. Until you say no, and suddenly you're difficult. Have you ever wondered what happens to the strong ones when no one checks in on them? You know the ones who always seem calm, collected, capable. You probably are one, but here's what no one sees: the breakdowns behind closed doors, the loneliness of always being the one others lean on, the exhaustion of never being allowed to fall apart. Strength without support becomes suffering. And here's the dangerous part: the world won't tell you to stop. It will applaud you all the way to the breakdown, because your overextension serves others, until it doesn't. And when you finally collapse, they'll call you weak. They won't say, "We should have checked in." They'll say, "You changed." And in that moment, you'll realize the strongest thing you ever did was walk away. You're not just tired, you're being emotionally overdrawn. Psychic energy is not infinite. Jung viewed the human mind like a battery. Every thought, reaction, and emotional labor drains your charge. You think you're generous, you think you're being kind, but what you're really doing is bleeding energy into black holes, conversations that go nowhere, relationships that thrive on your guilt, obligations dressed up as loyalty, and what's left for you? Fatigue, frustration, quiet resentment. You call it being a good person. But it's just exhaustion with a halo on top. You become a martyr that no one remembers, a hero no one thanks, a presence people miss only when it's gone. Not because they loved it, but because it stopped serving them. You thought sacrifice meant love, but here's the brutal twist. It often breeds entitlement instead. Here's something few will admit. The more you give without boundaries, the less people respect you. Why? Because availability creates predictability. Predictability creates expectation, and expectation erodes gratitude. They stop saying thank you, stop checking in, not because they're evil, but because you've trained them. You've taught them that you'll always pick up, always show up, always sacrifice. And when you finally don't, you're the villain in their story. You're accused of being cold. You're accused of changing. But what you've really done is awaken. And once you awaken, there's no going back. Because now you see everything. Let's look beneath the surface of your smile. People-pleasing isn't kindness. It's fear. The fear of rejection. The fear of being seen as selfish. The fear of being abandoned. Jung warned about the shadow self, the repressed part of our psyche that acts out in hidden ways. Your people-pleasing is shadow work undone. Because under all that compliance lies resentment, rage, and grief. You say yes, but your body screams no. You comfort others, but no one's ever comforted you. You make space for everyone except the broken pieces of yourself. And if you don't face that shadow, you will become a shell of a person wearing a smile. Eventually, you'll look in the mirror and not recognize the one looking back. Not because you've changed, but because you never let the real you emerge. Here's a radical idea. What if strength has nothing to do with rescuing anyone? Let's redefine strength. It's not who can endure the most. It's not who can give the most. It's who can say, I won't trade my peace for your comfort. Real strength is saying no without apology, walking away from chaos, even if it begs you to stay, refusing to explain your boundaries to people committed to misunderstanding you. And that's terrifying, because for the strong ones, guilt is the chain that holds them captive. Break it. Stop confusing your value with your sacrifice. Start measuring your strength by how deeply you protect your peace. So what actually happens when you stop being the sacrificial lamb? Things fall apart, people pull away, you lose relationships, but not real ones. Only the ones built on your exhaustion, only the ones that relied on your silence, your compliance, your availability. And in that space, scary, empty, raw, you'll find something unfamiliar. Yourself. You'll sleep deeper. You'll stop over-explaining. You'll breathe without bracing. And the people still beside you, they'll love you, not your performance. They'll honor your boundaries. They'll ask how you are. They'll meet you in places where once you were always alone. And if you're wondering, isn't that just running away? Some ask, isn't this just emotional shutdown? Number avoidance is fear-based disconnection. This question mark, this is conscious protection. There's a difference between running away from responsibility and stepping away from exploitation, between ghosting people who love you and finally saying, I can't be your lifeline anymore. Boundaries aren't walls, they're doors. And not everyone deserves a key. Protecting your peace doesn't make you distant. It makes you discerning. You've been told to be useful. Now try being whole. You were not born to be everyone's solution. You were not built to carry the world. You are allowed to stop, to breathe, to take up space, to receive, not just give. Jung's process of individuation is about becoming whole, not by being liked, not by being useful, but by integrating your truth, shadow and all. You don't become strong by denying yourself. You become strong by honoring yourself. And you do that by choosing yourself again and again until it feels natural. So what does it feel like after you choose yourself? It's quiet, painful, liberating. The noise dies down. The calls stop coming. The chaos no longer knocks at your door. And at first, it feels like loss. But soon, it feels like peace. The kind of peace you don't trade. Not for praise, not for love, not for anything. Because now you understand. Sacrifice without reciprocity is just emotional bankruptcy, and you're done being in debt. And in that quiet, something beautiful happens. You meet yourself, fully, fiercely, freely. So where do you even start? You start small. A single number A message left unread. A weekend with your phone off. You watch who respects your boundaries, and who resents them. And you learn, the ones who love you for real don't need your sacrifice. They celebrate your strength. Not the strength that bleeds itself dry. The strength that says, I am not here to be drained. I am here to be whole. And in that strength, you stop performing. You start becoming. And here's the final truth. Strength isn't what you thought. It's not what you carry. It's what you let go of. It's not how many people lean on you. It's how firmly you stand in yourself. It's not in giving everything. It's in knowing what's too much. Stop confusing strength with sacrifice. Because strength isn't about breaking for others. It's about never breaking your truth. And that version of you, the one who chooses herself without apology, that's not just strength. That's revolution. That's the most dangerous and free you've ever been. If this message cracks something open in you, comment below. I choose strength, not sacrifice. Let's rewrite the script, not for their comfort, for your liberation. Because the world doesn't need another martyr. It needs a you who finally chose peace over pleasing. And that begins now.